This time let's look at a game for the NES, Elevator Action. The classic Taito game, Elevator Action, was released in 1983 in the arcades during the golden age of arcade gaming. The premise of Elevator Action is quite simple. You play as a spy on a certain mission. Your objective is to get all the hidden packages throughout this hotel, which contain 30 floors. For 1983 standards, Elevator Action was very successful and very ahead of its time. It was very in-depth and there's nothing like it was really seen at the time that involved such strategy. The game would see release on various home computers such as the Commodore 64, and finally, it made its way to the NES. Nothing was changed in the NES version. The graphics, the sound, nothing. Now that's all well and good, and like I said, by 1983 standards, that's fine, but this was the age where a debut game like Mario blew anything away at the time, and the jumping in Elevator Action compared to Mario is just not even close. The jumping in Elevator Action is like you're jumping in a big pile of jello. It is so slow. The repetitiveness of the music in Elevator Action is insane. I mean, it's just insane. Listen, you don't believe me? Listen. That will drive you up the wall, believe me, especially after beating 3 buildings. And if you think that's bad, remember when I talked about getting all the documents in a stage? Well, if you miss any of the documents, this is the sound you'll be greeted with in your ears. Some features are pretty cool though, like the ability to shoot the lights out is pretty neat. I know I'm really reaching for the sky on this one, I apologize. And the strangest thing about Elevator Action is when you're standing in an elevator, you cannot duck. And considering you spend 50% of the game in elevators, that is not a good thing. So your basic premise is you get your documents, you kill the bad guys, you get to the bottom, you hop in your car and you get out of there. Rinse and repeat. Go for the high score like all classic arcade games at the time. That's Elevator Action on the NES. Just like the original arcade game, just some of it is just so, I don't know. I mean, they couldn't have updated it at all. There's still no denying though the classicness of Elevator Action. In 1994, the ultimate, in my opinion, Elevator Action game was released, and Elevator Action Returns in the arcades. Also seeing release on the Sega Saturn in 1997, though not a great port, Elevator Action Returns brought an entirely new gameplay mechanic. This time you control a team of 3 instead of a single spy, which is a very welcome change to the series. New enemies are added, new stage designs, it's all there. An incredible soundtrack which is very overlooked, and I really suggest you get on that. It's actually a crying shame how overlooked Elevator Action Returns is. It is an amazing game and is so overlooked, like I said. Please check this game out if you've never played it or even heard of it, as most people haven't. The easiest way to get your hands on this one is it was released in 2006 for the PS2 and Xbox on Taito Legends 2, which won't cost you too much, so definitely check it out like I said. 2 other little known Elevator Action games were actually handheld games. In 1991, Elevator Action was released on the Game Boy, and in 2000 for the Game Boy Color. These were pretty decent little handheld ports. It's pretty standard Elevator Action. The Game Boy Advance version has the original Elevator Action and a more modernized version for the time, which is probably the better of the 2, I must say. And lastly, the most modern version of Elevator Action was released in 2011 on the PlayStation Network, Elevator Action Deluxe, which featured an updated version with new level designs, multiple buildings per level. It was just a very neat little game, and it was pretty cheap. I liked it, and that was a good, it never tried to be more than it really was, and I think that's the mark of long-lasting AAA titles. Not that this is anywhere near a AAA title, but I mean, the Elevator Action series is very overlooked, very underrated. It's very enjoyable. If you really like old school gaming and looking for new finds all the time, check out Elevator Action.
Class dismissed.